It's 0400 hours when the alarm doesn't go off because you never set one. You've been awake for 20 minutes already, lying on your back in the dark, staring at the ceiling of a barracks room that smells like damp boots and iron discipline. Today is day one of the hardest selection process in the world. You don't know if you'll make it. Most don't. But you rise anyway. Lace your boots in the dark with the kind of quiet certainty that either gets you through or gets you broken. There is no middle ground here. There never will be. You are 22 years old. You've served 2 years in the parachute regiment. You've done enough to believe you're ready. The regiment will test that belief until it shatters or hardens into something permanent. Selection begins in the Brecon Beacons. That much you already knew. What nobody told you, what nobody can tell you, is what it actually feels like to carry a Bergen weighing over 25 kilograms across terrain that seems designed by something that hates human beings. The hills don't care about your fitness. The rain doesn't care about your motivation. The directing staff don't care about anything except the standard. The standard never moves. You either reach it or you go home. The first week is called Hell Week for reasons that become obvious somewhere around hour 40. Your feet are bleeding inside your boots. You know this not because you can feel it, feeling left somewhere around the end of day 2, but because of the wet warmth that comes and goes with each step. You eat when you can. You sleep in 40-minute intervals if you're lucky. You navigate by map and compass in the dark across ridgelines that disappear into cloud, and you do it alone because the regiment doesn't test teams here. It tests individuals. It tests the version of you that exists when there is nothing left to perform for. On day 6, you stop thinking about finishing. You stop counting days and start just walking. One foot, then the other. The Bergen becomes less of a weight and more of a fact, like weather or gravity. You don't fight it, you carry it. There is a difference. You pass selection, barely. Your time on the final long drag, a 64-kilometer endurance march through the beacons with full kit, puts you inside the window, but only just. The DS says nothing except, you continue. That is enough. Continuation training is where they teach you what they didn't break you for. Combat survival, escape and evasion, resistance to interrogation. That last phase is the one that stays with you. 24 hours of capture simulation, no sleep, no food, positions designed to punish. Men who were physically stronger than you didn't make it through that room. Not because they lacked toughness, because they hadn't yet learned the difference between endurance and control. Endurance is surviving pain. Control is surviving pain while remaining entirely yourself. You are badged on a Tuesday. It's raining, which feels appropriate. The sand-colored beret is placed in your hands and not on your head. You put it on yourself. That detail matters more than anyone outside this world will ever understand. You are now a trooper in D Squadron, Air Troop. You are 24 years old, and you know almost nothing. Selection taught you how to survive. The regiment teaches you how to operate. These are entirely different educations. Your first year in the squadron is one of controlled invisibility. You watch. You listen. You carry out orders with precision and without commentary. The older hands, men who have run operations in places that won't appear on any public record, speak rarely and move deliberately. You learn more from how they don't behave than from anything they say. They don't raise their voices. They don't waste motion. When something goes wrong on a training exercise, they fix it and move on. There is no drama here. Drama is for people who have time for it. You are assigned a patrol. 4 men, each with a designated responsibility: medic, linguist, signaler, demolitions. You spend the next 6 months cross-training in all 4 disciplines, because in the field, the guy with that skill might not be the guy still standing. Because in the field, the guy with that skill might not be the guy still standing. Redundancy isn't inefficiency. It's survival arithmetic. Your first deployment comes quietly. No ceremony. A briefing, a flight, a different sky. You are in a country whose name you won't repeat outside of operational contexts. The mission is a reconnaissance task, a long-range patrol, 8 days in the field. No extraction unless things go badly. They don't go badly. You do your job, you photograph what you were sent to photograph, and you come back thinner and quieter than when you left. Someone asks you what it was like. You say it was fine. This is the most accurate thing you could say. Over the next 3 years, you run similar tasks across multiple theaters. You become fluent in a language that took most people years to reach conversational level. You become very good with a sniper system. You become extremely good at not being noticed. You earn the right to speak in briefings, which you do sparingly and only when you have something worth saying. You are promoted to Lance Corporal. The rank means less here than it would anywhere else in the British Army. In the regiment, rank is a functional designation, not a crown. But it means you are now responsible for the men behind you in a way you weren't before. Your first team leadership task is a training exercise, simulating a hostage rescue in an urban compound. You plan it, brief it, run it. It doesn't go perfectly. One man goes left when the plan said right. The target room gets breached 4 seconds late. You debrief yourself harder than anyone else debriefs you. That night, you rewrite the plan from memory to find the assumption that caused the error. You find it. You don't make that assumption again. The operations in this phase of your career begin to carry more weight. Not because the tasks are necessarily more dangerous. Some of the most dangerous things you've done were in your trooper years, but because the decisions now involve other people's lives in a way that can't be abstracted. You put a man into a position. You tell him what you know and what you don't know. You send him forward. What happens next is partly down to him, and partly down to the intelligence you trusted, and partly down to luck, which is the variable nobody discusses in briefings but everyone accounts for privately. One night, on a compound clearance in a location you can't name, you make a call that saves the patrol a potential ambush. You altered the extraction route based on something that felt wrong, a pattern in the vehicle movements you'd been watching for 40 minutes that didn't match the pattern from the night before. Nothing you could quantify. The DS later call it situational awareness. You call it the thing that happened in your chest. Either way, everyone comes home. You are a corporal now. You run a 4-man patrol with full autonomy on planning and execution. The regiment trusts you with a level of operational independence that would be unthinkable in conventional forces. You don't receive orders so much as objectives. The how is yours to determine. This is the part of the career that people outside the military romanticize. They imagine it as constant action, constant danger, a perpetual sequence of movie-ready moments. The reality is different and harder to explain. Most of it is waiting. Most of it is planning. Most of it is running the same drill until the execution becomes invisible, until your body performs the action before your mind has finished forming the thought. The dramatic moments exist, but they are brief, and they are only survivable because of the hours and hours of preparation that look like nothing from the outside. You've been in theater for 6 months, on a rotation that keeps getting extended. The budget of a small operation. 5-man team, no embedded support, working with a partner force whose reliability you've learned to assess through a set of signals that aren't in any manual. You know which of their commanders genuinely controls his men, and which ones are managing competing loyalties. You know which interpreter changes his word choices when he's nervous. You build this knowledge slowly, without being told to, because in this environment, what you don't know is a weapon someone else can use. There is a night, one specific night, when a decision has to be made in under 30 seconds. The intelligence says the compound is clear. The pattern says it isn't. You trust the pattern. You hold the approach. You're right. What would have happened if you'd been wrong is something you don't think about productively, so you file it and move forward. This is one of the skills selection couldn't teach. You had to learn it in the dark, in real places with real stakes. You go home for 6 weeks. You sleep in a bed that's too soft. You eat food that has too much flavor. You talk to people who have no reference point for anything that's happened in the last 6 months, and you find that this doesn't bother you the way it used to. You've stopped trying to translate. The two worlds simply coexist in you, separated by something internal that you can neither name nor remove. You are 31 years old, and you are a sergeant. You now run a patrol as its senior member and carry the administrative and operational weight that comes with it. You write the orders. You validate the planning. You are the last person to check the detail before the team moves. The regiment uses you differently now. You are pulled into pre-mission planning at a level above what your patrol rank technically requires. This is not coincidence. You have accumulated something that the Army calls experience, and that you think of as pattern recognition, an ability to read a situation's shape before its details become clear. Senior officers consult you informally, which means your judgment is valued in rooms you're not officially part of. You begin to see the institutional machinery more clearly. How decisions get made above your level. Which political factors shape operational priorities. Which intelligence sources are trusted and which are questioned internally, even when they can't be questioned officially. You navigate this without cynicism, mostly, because cynicism costs you the precision of observation. But you notice. You always notice. There is a cost. You're not naive about it. You've watched men leave the regiment after 12 years carrying things they weren't sure what to do with. The operational tempo breaks marriages. It breaks sleep. The stress doesn't announce itself. It accumulates in the architecture of how you move through ordinary days, in the hypervigilance that kept you alive in 7 operational theaters and now activates in supermarkets and on motorways, and in rooms full of people who mean nothing but threat to a nervous system that's been tuned to a different frequency. You are good at your job. That is not a small thing. You hold it. You are a staff sergeant. You are responsible now not just for a patrol, but for training the next intake, for taking men who pass selection and beginning the process of building them into operators. This is a different kind of pressure. You were once them. You know what they don't know yet. Your job is not to tell them. Your job is to create the conditions in which they discover it themselves, the same way you did in the dark, with the clock running. You run a continuation training cycle. You watch a young trooper make a planning error on day 3, the same category of error you made on your first team leadership task. You say nothing in the moment. You wait until the debrief. Then you ask him a question rather than providing a correction. He finds the error himself. He'll remember it differently because of that. Better. The regiment has changed since you joined. Some of that is budgets. Some of it is operational tempo. The years following certain global events stretched the unit in ways that showed up later, in retention problems, and in the quieter, harder-to-measure erosion of depth. You adapt to what's in front of you. Adaptation is the one skill selection tests from the beginning, and the regiment never stops refining. You are a warrant officer class 2. You are the operational backbone of your squadron. The officer commanding consults you before making any decision that matters, and some that don't. You've seen officers come and go, some excellent, some requiring management in the direction of less damage. You do both without being asked. You are 40 years old. You've run operations in 11 countries. You've been shot at enough times that the experience has become taxonomically organized in your memory. Types of contact, distances, outcomes. You've lost 2 men over your career, not many for the tempo. But they are not statistics, they are specific. You know their names in a way that has no equivalent in ordinary language. You don't talk about this. Not because you can't, but because the talking would require a translation you don't trust yourself to make accurately. The weight of it is yours, and you carry it with the same quiet method you've applied to every other weight the regiment has handed you. The regiment never really lets you leave. You understand this now not as a complaint or a warning, but as a simple fact about the shape your life has taken. The skills don't switch off. The assessment mode doesn't deactivate when you walk through a door. The part of you that was built in the beacons at 400, with rain coming horizontal off the ridge, that part is structural now. It's load-bearing. Men who have left the regiment go into private security, into government advisory roles, into places that need the particular kind of person this process builds. They don't fully debrief. There's no ceremony that marks the end the way the beret marked the beginning. You simply carry it forward into whatever comes next, the accumulated weight of every decision, every patrol. Every night when you trusted the pattern over the paper and turned out to be right. And the nights, fewer but real when you weren't. You are sitting in a briefing room. The faces around the table are younger than they've ever been, which means you are older than you've ever been. Someone is asking for your assessment of a situation that doesn't have a clean answer. You look at the map, you look at the intelligence summary. You think about the things the intelligence summary doesn't contain, because no document contains what you know. You give your assessment, measured, specific, unambiguous. The room takes it as the final word, not because of your rank, because of everything the rank represents.